Welcome everyone to this event organized by the Trade Union of Ganzi People's Hospital and co-organized by the Hospital Office, External Relations Department and Youth League Committee, titled The Advancement of Medical Practitioners. This is the live event of Khenpo Sodargye talks with you about a healthy life. Welcome everyone. Khenpo has profound knowledge and practice in the traditional teachings of Tibetan Buddhism. In order to help even more people truly realize the profound essence of Buddhism, he thoughtfully uses modern and accessible approaches to effectively convey the fundamental truth of life to people. He firmly believes that times are constantly changing, but the fundamental core principles of Buddhism remain largely unchanged. People can truly find the true answers to modern problems within its teachings. With the rapid and significant development of the social economy, our material lives have undergone tremendous changes. After 30 years of reform and opening up, and 15 years of experience with the WTO, today we are truly enjoying an immense and unprecedented material civilization. However, while we fully enjoy the remarkable convenience brought by modern highways, efficient high-speed rail networks, and advanced airplanes, we have gradually grown distant from the friendships we once had. We truly enjoy the convenience of email and the ease of Facebook and WeChat, but we have unfortunately forgotten the traditional virtues of Chinese civilization. We indulge in Dicos and McDonald's, KFC, and also the fried chicken and fries from them. Yet we have forgotten the memories passed down by our ancestors through generations. Everything has become focused on quick success and instant benefits, and people seem to have forgotten the value of the journey of striving and climbing, blindly and single-mindedly pursuing so-called success by any means necessary, how to be a person, what kind of person to be, how to conduct oneself. These are simple questions, yet at the same time, they are anything but simple. We often complain that the relationship between doctors and patients is as tense as fire and water, and that practicing medicine feels like walking on thin ice. We treat patients as if they were ferocious beasts, and the mere mention of them makes us nervous. But have we ever truly realized that the current deterioration of the doctor-patient relationship is a bitter result jointly created by both doctors and patients? To improve the quality of medical professionals and the healthcare environment, we must always start with me, with you, with all of us. Hospitals are truly the starting and ending points of most human lives. The very walls of hospitals bear more heartfelt prayers than those of any churches. We are in the place closest to life and death, where the most intense joys and sorrows of the human world unfold, and the most difficult choices are often made right here at any given moment. We have in many ways medicalized the natural processes of aging, weakness, illness, and even death. We often see them merely as clinical problems to be conquered and overcome. Yet, as people inevitably approach the twilight of their lives, what is needed is not just medicine, but also life itself. A meaningful life under the circumstances at that time, a life as rich and fulfilling as possible. Today, the Trade Union of Ganzi Prefecture People's Hospital, together with the Hospital Office, External Relations Department, and Youth League Committee, has prepared a wonderful bowl of chicken soup for the soul for everyone. We are truly, truly honored to have invited the renowned Tibetan scholar, our respected Khenpo Sodargye, to join us in an open and engaging conversation about a healthy and balanced life.
Today, all the esteemed experts, dedicated doctors, and compassionate nurses present here at this important gathering, as well as all other relevant and related personnel. We are all gathered here together tonight for this important and significant occasion to learn together about a healthy life, a concept that encompasses physical well-being, mental clarity, and emotional balance. This is indeed a profoundly meaningful and universally relevant topic for everyone. All of us here, living in this complex and ever-evolving world, truly need to cultivate and maintain both a healthy mind, capable of resilience and positive thought, and a healthy body, strong and vibrant, to navigate life's challenges and opportunities effectively. With a truly healthy body and mind, in fact, everything in this world becomes profoundly and genuinely wonderful. There was a notable and influential British literary giant named Dickens, a figure whose insights have resonated through the ages. who said that if a person truly has a healthy and sound body and mind, he possesses the remarkable power of 100 kinds of wisdom. I believe that the dedicated medical professionals present here today not only have healthy lives themselves, but also contribute significantly to the well-being of others. But more importantly, by truly relying on the inherent strength of our own physical body and mental faculties, we can genuinely help countless individuals who are suffering from various forms of illness and effectively rescue them from the profound darkness of pain. I firmly believe that all of us gathered here today, whether you are doctors or nurses or other related staff, everything you consistently do every single day, every passing month, and every unfolding year is profoundly and incredibly meaningful, truly sacred, and undeniably great in its cumulative impact and significance. Therefore, in my personal opinion, there are literally millions of diverse professions in this world, but among all these countless professions, the two that I truly admire and deeply appreciate are: one is being a dedicated teacher who educates and nurtures people, and the other is being a doctor who heals and saves lives. These two professions in this world, I truly believe that I possess an incredibly profound and unique kind of power. This is primarily because with them, both human wisdom and our physical well-being can be sustained. If we didn't have the sacred profession of teachers, I'm afraid that our entire world would indeed be confusing, trapped in the darkness of ignorance. If we didn't have the medical profession of doctors, if we didn't have the science of modern medicine, then in our current world, perhaps the lives of many people could not be sustained and adequately supported. They might be cut short halfway through. So today, I am also very happy that all of you are present here indeed. Such an incredibly talented and profoundly wise group of individuals, so remarkably capable and deeply compassionate, are coming together to thoughtfully discuss what true health genuinely means for everyone. Nowadays, our era is changing especially fast. Everyone is well aware of this. Back in the last century, or even the century before that, people often lived very different lives. From ancient society all the way to the Industrial Revolution, the changes that took hundreds or even thousands of years in our world today, truly significant and rapid changes can now happen within just 10 years, 5 years, or even 3 years. Or sometimes, within just a single month, things can become completely different from before. Everything from the past becomes obsolete. There's a Chinese idiom called change with each passing day. Every day, something new happens. Every month brings different changes. This is something that might not have happened in ancient times. In our current era, this is indeed unfolding right before our very own eyes. In such a new era of great change, I believe that many of the medical professionals present here will reflect on the past and also look forward to the future ahead of us. At this moment, I believe many of us truly need to keep learning continuously throughout our lives, and we also need to keep researching new information. Only in this way, I truly believe that many of our individual lives can be truly brilliant and exceptionally fulfilling. I am also confident that the dedicated medical professionals present here today, especially some whom I have known quite well in the past, while there are others with whom I am less familiar. But regardless, in your positions and in your work, it must be said that it is quite demanding. As for the profession of being a doctor, this is how I see it. It is inherently a very meaningful and significant endeavor, but it is also exceptionally challenging. I once came across a particularly insightful short story, and this is how the story goes. A person suffering from a common cold went to see a medical doctor. During the consultation, the doctor prescribed him some medicine, but after taking it for a week, he still wasn't getting better. So he went back to see the doctor. Eventually, after receiving an IV infusion, he basically recovered. But this patient kept complaining, saying that if an IV could have treated him, why didn't the doctor give him an IV in the first place? Why would one prescribe a week's worth of medicine? He consistently kept complaining about it. Later, another patient also came to see this doctor. This time, the doctor gave him an IV infusion right away. But then this person also complained, saying that he could have just taken medicine first. So why did the doctor give him an IV right away? Later, yet another person with a cold came to see the doctor. After this, the doctor had truly learned his valuable lesson. He then asked the patient, "Do you want to take medicine or require IV therapy?" But then this person also kept complaining, saying, "You're the doctor, so why are you actually asking me this particular question?" Although this is just a small story, maybe the doctor was just unlucky in this story, because none of the three types of patients were satisfied and all complained about him. But in fact, from such a small story, we can also see that no matter how much effort the doctor puts in, no matter how hard he tries, the patients may not necessarily be truly happy or completely satisfied. So, what exactly is the fundamental reason for this particular situation? Actually, I have thoroughly thought about this significant reason many times before. On one hand, some of our news media nowadays should be reporting on the truly noble spirit of some dedicated doctors, but instead, what is being shown to us are things that really shouldn't be reported at all. Personal incidents, extremely rare cases, which are being widely and extensively reported all over the entire world. As a direct result, I think many of us in this era of media explosion, or rather in this era of information explosion, see these extremely rare incidents, and the conflicts between doctors and patients are becoming more and more prominent. As everyone knows, a few years ago in Harbin, there was an incident that happened in a hospital, a conflict between a patient and a doctor. In the end, the patient killed the doctor. After the doctor was tragically killed, logically speaking, many people should have felt a profound sense of sympathy for the doctor. But what was shown online afterwards was that 65% of people expressed clear praise and joy. What is the reason for this? Personally, I really don't think that our doctors are bad anyway. To be honest, I myself am often quite actually in poor health. And you could say that in hospitals in almost every major city in the country, I've been hospitalized in nearly all of them. Shanghai, Beijing, Chengdu, Hangzhou, including Guangzhou and Yunnan, for many years in different hospitals, including ours. It seems that among the hospitals I've stayed in, I haven't been hospitalized here, but I have stayed in Mayakang Hospital and also in Luhuo and Seda. So I've been hospitalized in many hospitals over the years. But during the entire process of being hospitalized, I truly and deeply believe that many dedicated doctors and nurses are extremely dedicated to their work. Their dedication to patients day and night is truly commendable, is probably beyond what anyone can imagine. Because these individuals are truly flesh and blood. They are not merely unfeeling robots. So, in this situation, the number of patients each day is increasing, and the sheer variety of illnesses among patients is truly countless. In such an era, I believe that many doctors, including those who perform surgeries and those who do physical therapy, I believe they are all extremely exhausted. Throughout the 24 hours of the day, they are basically constantly dealing with these patients. At a certain point, even they themselves, who were originally healthy individuals, but because they are constantly exposed with psychological issues, with physical health problems, they gradually become affected by the environment to some extent. At the same time, they are also, to varying degrees, influenced by some unhealthy factors. So today, I really want to clearly state here and now, at this moment, that most of our doctors and nurses are truly remarkable individuals, because in their dedicated work and unwavering commitment, they bravely endure things that most people can hardly even begin to imagine or comprehend. As we all know, teachers and doctors in our lives are professions that are extremely exhausting. At the same time, they also have to face a lot of complaints and misunderstandings from many people. Sometimes in this world, it can be very hard for us to stand our ground. But if we think about it from another perspective, it's not just doctors. In this modern information age, whenever people observe certain behaviors in others, they often form quick judgments. They constantly hurl insults and slander and keep spreading rumors and gossip. This is a unique phenomenon of the 21st century, completely different from what we've seen in the past. So at this time, I think many of us in the medical profession, no matter what others say or think, should still uphold our own noble conduct to keep striving forward. This is indeed our collective choice, and it's also our important work, our significant responsibility. Of course, in this process, are there young people who are rather lazy, who don't study their profession seriously, and aren't very responsible in their work? Are there such cases? Such phenomena are actually quite common. Especially, I often see some doctors and nurses in the Han regions. Notice their attitude towards certain patients, and even cases of mistreatment. These things are all too common. Because this is a significant and undeniable fact, we simply cannot afford to ignore it. Approximately 10 years ago, I was hospitalized for a period of about 2 months in the city of Xiamen, located in Fujian province. During those 2 months, there was a nurse specifically assigned to take care of me. For some unknown reason, this nurse really disliked me. Every day when she saw me, it seemed like her expression would change. But she only had 1 day off each week. She gave me injections every day. Each time she injected me, I was scared, but there was nothing I could do. And the way she gave injections was really... I had only ever truly seen that kind of aggressive behavior in some wild animals before. She would finish in less than a second, then turn around and leave. She would walk away in especially high heels. I had never encountered a nurse like that before. She gave me injections for a full 2 months. Every time it was her day off, I would feel even much happier indeed. Today, our nurse wasn't her. Later, I wrote about this in a book I wrote called Footprints of the Journey. It seems like the title of that book has changed now. I can't remember what it's called anymore. In that book, later on, because at the time I was writing a diary every day, I also carefully recorded some of her distinct behaviors in my personal diary. Sometimes, for reasons I truly didn't understand, every single time she saw me, she seemed to display an especially strong sense of resentment. At first, I just went along with it, but later, I stopped going along and just let things happen naturally. Sometimes when I went to fetch water, when she was on duty there alone, I would glare at her fiercely as well. Today, indeed, all of us here who work in the medical field, we probably need to keep learning continuously. Why do we actually need to always keep learning? The things we need to learn, one crucial aspect is your professional knowledge. As for this essential professional knowledge, it is truly vital. I'm not a medical professional, so I don't really understand it. But regardless of the industry or the type of knowledge, in this present day and age, we truly have to keep improving ourselves. Otherwise, life truly moves at an especially rapid pace, indeed very quickly. Our extensive knowledge, including many of the instruments you currently use, are constantly being updated. If you truly don't possess a spirit of diligent and continuous learning, then at a certain crucial point, your own wisdom will inevitably stagnate and you won't be able to adequately keep up. I personally observed this in Chengdu when I went to a particular hospital, and there were senior experts in their 60s or 70s actively running a medical clinic. And there were quite a lot of patients lining up to see them. But as for those experts, they were all wearing those big glasses and using computers. So I asked, why don't you write by hand? He said, everything is networked now. There's no choice. They had written prescriptions by hand their whole lives. But now they have no choice but to type. I saw that they typed very slowly and their eyesight wasn't good, so they were pecking at the keyboard on the computer. It took them a long time just to type a patient's name. A lot of people were waiting in line, so what does this show? Our current era is constantly changing indeed. You can't think that the knowledge you had before, like having a full doctorate in medicine right now, for example, or an undergraduate degree in medicine is already enough. If you just stop there and stagnate, you really won't be able to keep up. And it's not just medical knowledge that's like this for you, but knowledge in virtually every academic and professional field around the entire world is constantly being updated and evolving. In the process of this updating, let's carefully consider what actions we should take regarding this matter. I truly think that there are a lot of young people present here Especially for young people, it's even more important for you to keep on learning. Why is it even more important for you to learn? I think whether you are nurses or doctors right now, or if you are in other management positions, there are some senior experts around you, people who are highly experienced. But will these truly experienced people always be there by your side? That's impossible. In another 5 or 10 years, maybe this responsibility will fall on your shoulders. When this responsibility does fall on you, if you didn't make the most of learning when you had teachers around, in the end, you might have to face everything on your own. But the things you are dealing with, if it were in another industry or another field, I think it wouldn't matter so much whether you learned well or not. But the important things that you are currently doing are truly among the most serious and significant matters in all of human society. Why is that? Because what you deal with most often is human life in the end. If you do well, you are truly saving lives every single day indeed. From a Buddhist perspective, this merit, truly the merit is boundless and immeasurable. But if you do not perform well, then every single precious and valuable life in this entire world is entrusted to your hands. At that moment, because your professional knowledge is lacking, because you are not dedicated to your work, because you lack experience, in the end, there may be no one to ask for help. At that time, all you have is your own limited wisdom to make a decisive choice. And the consequences could be unimaginable. So yesterday, when I was actually at a school, I told the teachers there, I said, in a certain sense, as teachers, you are truly nurturing talent, educating and shaping people, which is truly remarkable. But if you don't do particularly well as a teacher, not only do you ruin yourself, but even more importantly, you ruin an entire generation of students. A teacher may have dozens or even hundreds of students around them. If it's hundreds of people, then in this era, their youth could all be destroyed in your hands. The same principle applies. If you doctors do not do your job well, you are indeed directly harming people's lives. In this world, there are two profoundly significant professions directly related to human life. One is a judge and the other is a doctor. They directly hold the very lives of many strangers in their hands. For most people, the most precious things we have, if you actually have a little bit of gold or a truly valuable precious diamond, you might not give it to others. You wouldn't even let others touch it. But for the patients, in a helpless situation, when they have no other choice, they hand over their most precious thing. Something they absolutely would not sell, even if it were made of pure gold or sparkling diamonds, have already placed it in the doctor's hands. There's no other way. That's just how things are. Because everyone inevitably goes through the process of birth, aging, illness, and death. When you go through this process, you seek out a doctor when you fall ill. Some people trust a particular doctor very much and insist on seeing them. Some may not trust doctors as much, feeling that doctors lack credibility. But there's no other choice. You still have to seek help. At times like this, the medical profession, on one hand, it makes a truly tremendous contribution to society and to the well-being of its citizens. But on the other hand, it truly carries great risks, especially when it comes to our professional knowledge. For those individuals who are not proficient in their specific expertise, even if they are proficient but not very meticulous in their approach, people who are careless or easily distracted often encounter a whole series of significant problems with their current skills at such challenging times. A whole range of issues can arise. This isn't just something that happens in our own circle. It's the same situation for medical doctors all over the entire world. However, in certain specific countries, medical practitioners are extremely meticulous and thorough in their work. I've been to Japan and have visited some hospitals and medical doctors there. Some of their medical professionals are indeed extremely meticulous and precise in their work, although they can be a little bit slow because Japan doesn't have a large population, so they might only see a few patients each day. But they are incredibly thorough and exceptionally meticulous. I later stated that if I ever required a surgical procedure, I would probably feel significantly more at ease and comfortable coming to this particular facility. Last year, I had a surgery that lasted 6 hours, but I truly wasn't able to go. I thought, well, I'll just have it done in China. There was no other way. At the time, it was considered quite urgent. So back then, personally, I actually didn't have any doubts about the doctors. But it's only when a patient falls ill that they truly realize the importance of doctors. Especially for us as doctors and nurses, sometimes it's only when your own loved ones get sick that you realize where the truly reliable and trustworthy medical doctors are located. How exactly do you find such people? It's at that precise moment that you truly understand their inherent value. I believe everyone present here today is exceptionally responsible and remarkably dedicated. But in this ongoing process, people often become quite numb to their chosen profession. After a certain point in time, you just completely stop feeling anything at all. I once met a doctor, he said when I first graduated from medical school and started working in the medical field, I truly felt that my chosen profession was extremely meaningful and fulfilling. But later, after dealing with life and death for so long, it started to feel like working with animals. Or it was as if there was absolutely no discernible difference at all from working with plants. There was just no feeling anymore. Indeed, this is a rather common illness that affects many of us humans, including ourselves, sometimes when we go out to release lives. In the first day or two, when we see these living beings under the butcher's knife, it's especially shocking, frightening, and terrifying. But as time goes on, when we do animal releases every day, eventually, over time, we don't feel such strong compassion anymore. It just simply isn't there. This really does happen, quite often in fact. So I truly think that many of the esteemed doctors present here, sometimes we should be acutely aware of this. The important things we do, especially compared to others, are significant, including dedicated civil servants and numerous other professions across various essential fields. Our diligent work within the vast and intricate human society is actually profoundly meaningful and contributes significantly to the well-being of all. Moreover, in certain significant aspects, it indeed carries a rather profoundly different significance. In this situation, I want to especially emphasize this point to the many young people who are here with us today. Now that you have your dedicated teachers and now that you have professional technical staff, you should be learning every day. I have seen some doctors and nurses in front of the respected older generation who keep diaries every day and constantly study. But some individuals genuinely seem to feel absolutely nothing at all and are not particularly passionate about their chosen profession. In such specific cases, you might not be entirely well suited for this particular position. Because learning when you have teachers is also very important for individuals. Even I myself often think, I used to have studied from many teachers, and when I had those teachers, we really studied incredibly hard. But once the teachers left, including aspects of Buddhist philosophy, I had put in the effort myself. And the reason for working hard for a long time is that even though there are still some things I don't understand now, there are also some areas where I've improved a bit. So based on this experience, I especially hope that many of the young people here today won't assume that the experts and teachers above you will always be by your side forever. So at a certain significant point in this vast and intricate world, you might already find yourself to be the main expert in your field, or you might be the primary and most crucial physician responsible for patient care. At that time, it will depend on your skills and sense of responsibility. These are things we should be reflecting on right now. This is something many young people need to consider as well. Of course, during this process, you may need to study now. What should you study? You should study your professional knowledge. But as for this professional knowledge, I am also thinking about it now. It's very possible that in a few decades, some of our doctors may not have very advanced professional knowledge. It's very likely that they will be eliminated. We need to be mentally prepared for this. Why do I say this? Because right now, several major companies in the United States, such as IBM, Google, and Microsoft, have all invented many different types of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, to varying degrees now is progressively replacing many of the world's more advanced and specialized knowledge, which is now under their control directly in their hands. This profound shift includes critical fields, such as the entire domain of medicine, among many others. Furthermore, you may have also distinctly noticed that last year, in 2016, the Nobel Prize in Literature was awarded to someone named Bob Dylan. When he visited IBM, there was a high-tech specialist at IBM who created an artificial intelligence called Watson. This advanced artificial intelligence system first analyzed all the literary works of this writer's entire life in just a mere few seconds. Subsequently, it promptly provided him with a comprehensive and accurate answer. The answer it gave was, if you sum up all the contents of your life's literary work are the passage of time and withering love. That's the summary it gave. Later, the author himself completely agreed with these two phrases. And then Watson also analyzed a certain case in Japan, which you might have heard about as well, a girl's illness. When many experts from around the world consulted on her case, none of them were able to cure her. But later, Watson, in just a little over 10 minutes, read through all the most crucial medical knowledge in the entire world. As for all the content that is studied, it was said to be about 20 million articles. What exactly does the concept of 20 million articles truly mean? If all of these various materials were carefully stacked together, they would reach over 4,000 meters high. The content of all those documents stacked over 4,000 meters high, in the end, it analyzed all of them. And now, what is the most remarkable feature of the most advanced artificial intelligence? It can analyze all of the knowledge that is available. And after analyzing, it comes up with an answer. After coming up with the answer, the illness of that Japanese girl just mentioned was cured as a result. This happened at IBM. This is the kind of conclusion that current artificial intelligence can reach. So in this case, some people have carefully analyzed this, including in the field of medicine, that indeed, in a certain sense, high technology may potentially replace a significant part of it. We all know that there used to be a truly huge number of traditional brick and mortar companies. Later, with the advent of online shopping, basically all of them have effectively flown up into the digital sky. When we look at big companies in Chengdu, Beijing, and other major cities, basically almost no one is shopping in physical stores anymore these days. In the past, when we took taxis, I think there are still quite a few taxis in Kangding now, but in big cities, almost everyone uses Didi, Uber, and similar services. So, in a very short period of time, these professions have already been completely transformed. So, I think as for many areas of medicine, if we don't keep improving, it's very likely that at some point in the near future, there will be some significant and notable changes. Additionally, at Google's prominent research facilities located in the United States, a number of highly respected and experienced breast cancer experts have also actively competed against advanced artificial intelligence systems. And during the competition, those highly skilled scientists, who are indeed top-level experts in their field, dedicated a significant amount of their valuable time, specifically 30 hours, to meticulously analyze the numerous biopsy slides that were provided to them. It appears that there were precisely 130 of these slides to carefully analyze. And in the end, their accuracy rate reached 73.3%, while the answers produced by artificial intelligence achieved an accuracy rate as high as 88.5%. So now, in many areas, including a significant portion of the medical field, has already been completely replaced by advanced artificial intelligence. So what will our future world truly look like? It's very hard for us to definitively say for sure. If you haven't done much extensive research in this particular area, perhaps you haven't noticed any changes yet, but do we need to start preparing for this sooner or later, eventually? This includes us Buddhists as well. Not long ago, we also discussed this topic. In the future, there may be no need for Dharma teachers to give lectures and teachings, or the content of every religion could be delivered entirely through artificial intelligence. In that case, Dharma teachers and Khenpos would be out of a job. Nothing to do, you doctors also out of work. And so would we Dharma teachers. Even the chanting in temples, nowadays, much of it is actually being replaced by very different kinds of knowledge and information. It's really hard to say what this world will become. In the past, in The Matrix, many of the science fiction elements that it actually depicted are constantly and rapidly emerging in our world. At times like this, it's even more critically important to learn this kind of essential knowledge. In fact, learning is very important. I truly wonder whether the nurses and doctors present here actually enjoy the process of learning or not. Just yesterday, I told our teachers, I said, our teachers, each of us, no matter who you are, you first need to carefully choose your own profession. For example, I am a dedicated teacher. I am a devoted Dharma teacher. I am a diligent police officer. I am a responsible civil servant. So first, what exactly is it that I do? If I genuinely want to undertake this specific job, then for this particular profession, I recognize the crucial need to possess not only specialized and in-depth knowledge, but also to diligently accumulate all the extensively related and interconnected knowledge as well. As a doctor, besides the knowledge of your own department that you use to treat patients every day, aren't there also many other kinds of knowledge involved? Yesterday, I visited each teacher's home and I asked, do you have a lot of books? If you don't have books, even though now you can read on computers and phones, it still shows that this teacher doesn't like reading books and doesn't like studying. I also take a look at the homes of you doctors and nurses. And if you don't have many books, it probably means you don't like learning. If you don't like learning, your knowledge will be limited, especially in this day and age. If you just keep on not learning, you will indeed face very, very big difficulties. Although some doctors might think, it's nothing, I'm an ophthalmologist, I'm a pediatrician, I'm a surgeon, I'm an internist, I'm very proficient in my specialty. But as for this specialty, from the perspective of Western medicine, I think it's very good. Because Western medicine divides every part of the human body into many, many sections. And then different specialized departments meticulously study each individual part. But from the perspective of Chinese medicine or Tibetan medicine, that's not necessarily really the case. For example, if my eyes aren't well today, if my eyes aren't well according to Western medicine, they treat headaches by treating the head and foot pain by treating the foot. This is the concept used for treatment. But from the Buddhist view, all phenomena arise due to causes and conditions. Why are my eyes not well? Maybe there's a problem with my eyeball, but perhaps it is indeed connected to another nerve or even another meridian. However, some dedicated doctors truly spend their entire professional lives specializing in just this one particular area. In terms of depth, that's very good. Because Western science generally focusing on every single thing, even the tiniest detail. It's like we're digging a tunnel, going extremely deep, drilling very deep. But the breadth of our knowledge is lacking. If you understand both Chinese and Western medicine, and then others as well, including, for example, India, they have their own excellent medical systems. As for Africa, Africa has indigenous, good medical practices. If you combine these medical systems, the entire structure of the human body, it might have a truly great impact on your valuable research and your specific field of expertise. In our Buddhist academy, there are some doctors who are especially famous in the Han regions, but some doctors spend their lives just treating eyes or focus on a certain nerve, for example. Then, when they arrive there, they are only extremely proficient in that one area. But beyond that, if they step even slightly outside their specialty, they become very, very clueless. Even though they may be from some prestigious medical schools and are considered outstanding internationally, having recently graduated from some of the top-tier medical institutions. But I often feel that, our modern Western medicine is very good. On one hand, if you look at all the equipment we have in Western medicine now, the results they show are excellent. But the shortcoming is that our scope is not broad enough. For example, if a light bulb isn't working and we just fix the bulb every day, maybe the problem is a broken wire, or maybe there's an issue with the power supply, or maybe the bulb itself really is the problem. So, for example, when it comes to a person's kidney or liver, or a particular part of the body, you might be an expert in that area. But from the perspective of traditional Chinese medicine, Tibetan medicine, the whole nervous system is viewed as difficult and complicated diseases. They can be treated through chanting scriptures or through certain acts of repentance, and these methods do indeed have a significant and noticeable effect. So I think sometimes for the doctors present here, don't always be satisfied just because of your own specialty. You might think you'll do this for your whole life, but that's not necessarily the case. Maybe in the first half of your life, you focus on surgery, but it's very possible, because everyone's life circumstances and karmic connections are different, that in the second half of your life, you might switch to another department or do something else entirely. At that time, if you didn't study when you were young, if you didn't make good use of the opportunities you had to learn, then at that time, you might have a lot of regrets in your life. And you may be left with many regrets. So I think for many of us professionals, we really shouldn't feel overly satisfied or become arrogant just because of our own specific specialty, thinking that what we have is already quite sufficient and enough in this vast world. However, in reality, this particular knowledge is indeed quite limited. Whether it's Western medicine or indeed many other diverse fields of study, we actually need to understand them much more deeply and much more broadly. Any area of knowledge, this truly requires both broad and extensive research, as well as a very thorough and in-depth study. Why exactly do I say this particular point? In the last century, as everyone knows, if someone could speak knowledgeably on a wide range of topics, people would say, wow, this person is impressive. But in the information age, a lot of general knowledge isn't really lacking anymore in this age. When we search on our phones or on Baidu, all this information is instantly available. In the past, we used to look up a lot of knowledge in the Xinhua dictionary, but now that's basically unnecessary. A great deal of medical knowledge, for example, you just really need to search on Baidu, or just do a very quick search on Google. And abroad, Google is quite a bit more popular. Here, when you search on Baidu, not only Chinese, but also English and Tibetan knowledge, basically all comes up. So nowadays, if someone knows a lot of general knowledge, it's not really that rare. Anyone can download this from the internet, or you can simply search for it online. It's all readily accessible. But what exactly is truly needed now? It's to have a deeper understanding. In the process of gaining a deeper understanding, sometimes our professional expertise becomes too narrowly focused. We really need to take a much broader and more comprehensive approach to our work. That when we pursue further in-depth study, it might be important for the future of young people like you. And it's also very important because this era is constantly changing. Maybe in another 10 years, perhaps, you young people sitting here now will become the leaders of this world. At that particular time, the main people who are here now, for example, the esteemed deans and those individuals who are in charge, and all the crucial key personnel in each and every department, they might potentially move to the second line. According to Buddhist teachings, impermanence is always indeed present. At that time, you will truly become the leaders of this world. When you become the leaders of this world, will you really have the knowledge, skills, and experience your teachers once truly had, and their dedication to their work? Sometimes it truly seems that in our current modern era, gaining knowledge should be getting much easier and easier indeed. In terms of facilities and conditions all around the world, things are indeed getting very much better and better for us. I visited your old hospital before, and after coming here today, the hardware and facilities outside are several times better than they were before. However, our crucial internal professional knowledge and expertise also critically needs to continuously keep up. If you are unable to adequately keep up, then no matter how good the external conditions are, it's useless. So today, what I want to say even more to the younger generation is that you should pay more attention to the conduct of your senior doctors, their medical ethics, their professional spirit. These are truly important things that we should preserve and learn valuable lessons from. Actually, it's the same in Buddhism. In Buddhism, each generation is not as good as the last. I'm not entirely sure how it is in the medical field for you all, since I haven't studied it in depth. But in Buddhism, the older generation truly is very much cultivation Buddhist studies, knowledge, practice, is truly remarkable in these aspects. With each generation, people's minds seem to become more restless. Especially now, in this era where the internet is so pervasive. Many young people, you probably know this, many lamas and others, everyone is holding an iPhone, and every day they don't even know what they're looking at. And it's like this even inside the monasteries. If it's the same in the medical field, if every day is spent indulging in the internet, now the internet has truly become a significant global killer indeed. What is the biggest killer? It steals away our time, steals our opportunities, and steals our expertise. Especially, there are many important tasks that we probably should be doing, primarily because some people are quite busy throughout the entire day. And especially at night, they watch a lot of TV series and movies and do all sorts of things online. So the very next day, they often feel like patients themselves, experiencing the same struggles and challenges. Many doctors and nurses, because they're always quite busy with other important things, when it's finally time to actually work, they often have no energy and can't get motivated. At times like this, we may frequently feel restless or noticeably irritable, and the things we do might not be done very seriously. This is something I want to address from a medical perspective, that we must always consider medical ethics. When I was in middle school, there was a doctor I especially admired. This doctor, even in the middle of the night, for any patient, he was a dedicated Tibetan medicine doctor. No matter if it was the middle of the night or any other time, whenever someone came to him, he was always there to help. And the expression on this particular doctor's face was always very warm and welcoming toward everyone. Nowadays, the expressions and demeanor of doctors and nurses are especially important and crucial. A professor from Peking University once said that the indifferent and unconcerned expressions many people have now can actually truly hurt a lot of people. So I really hope, and I really care, Every single time I just see patients at their bedside, when those doctors and nurses truly come in as a group, I pay special attention to their expressions. If their expressions are a bit warmer, it makes me feel truly comforted inside. But if their expressions are especially cold and indifferent, and they don't care at all about my case, and basically just go through the motions regarding my illness, it makes me feel uncomfortable inside. Sometimes I often find myself debating with them and asking questions, and if I persistently keep asking, they'll reluctantly give you an answer. So I truly believe that on one hand, when there are a lot of patients, every doctor's energy is also limited. However, using a much gentler and more compassionate expression to thoroughly explain complex medical things to the patient and genuinely show them a deep level of care and understanding is extremely and profoundly important. And from the professional nurse's perspective, it is precisely the same situation and principle. I also know that for nurses in the very beginning of their noble profession, it was the truly remarkable Florence Nightingale, who was a pioneering British figure. Do you celebrate Nurses' Day here? You do, right? Well, I've also read quite a bit about some of her enduring spirit and profound dedication. There is now a memorial museum for her in London, England. Everyone should be aware of this. She actually received a very good education, and her family background was also especially privileged. Since she was young, she had always diligently helped the people in her village. Later, during the significant war between Turkey and what is now Russia, she bravely led 38 medical personnel to the battlefield to continuously help the wounded soldiers. After she returned to England, it was around 1860 in England that she began to establish a nursing school. From then on, the so-called nurses in our world, you could say, truly emerged. So what was her most unique spirit? Her parents often wanted to arrange her future marriage, a significant life event. But she herself said, "I am a wanderer. I truly want to dedicate my pure youth and my entire pure life to those individuals who genuinely need assistance and support." So she never married in her whole life. Her entire life was truly and completely devoted to what noble cause. It was devoted to those individuals who genuinely needed help and support. So this kind of remarkable spirit, even today, when we respectfully commemorate her significant contributions, we should also fully embrace her enduring spirit and the profound essence of her insightful thinking and allow it to live deeply within each and every one of our hearts. Only then can we truly and genuinely live up to what people often call angels in white. This honorable title of Angels in White will not be something empty or illusory. Otherwise, as is indeed the case now, especially in the mainland, I think that in many ways our Tibetan region is quite good and thriving. Here, many of our doctors and nurses are people of faith. With the discipline that comes from faith, they themselves also understand the law of cause and effect regarding good and evil. Moreover, their fundamental mindset when it comes to truly helping other individuals is profoundly different. But among some groups without any faith at all, especially in certain hospitals in the Han regions nowadays, their so-called grey income is indeed quite concerning. This includes many of their actions, because people can easily see that over time, after this continues, the conflicts between doctors and patients become more and more prominent, as we can often observe. Including the fact that in the Han regions, we often see a very strong commercial atmosphere. Even in Buddhism nowadays, in different places around the world, there are various interpretations and practices. There have also appeared some economic tendencies like this. When this happens, Buddhism has already been completely and utterly ruined. By the very same logic, our modern medical profession should be something very pure. It should be very wholesome. And if such an educational system continues to flow unceasingly, then for people it can be said that their treatment of physical and psychological illnesses, there is a lot of room for improvement, or it is indeed quite meaningful. Otherwise, in our current era, it is important to note, perhaps everyone faces rather significant challenges. Why? Because the times have changed. This era has already become an economic era, an era of money, an era of the internet. At such a time, for each person to maintain their personal conscience, innocence, and kindness, if these are to truly continue, it is quite difficult. This is what our world most desperately needs and truly deserves our immediate concern right now. You may not know that in the past, when Einstein was at the Princeton University at the time, he was interviewed by a well-known journalist. The journalist asked, "What is the greatest scientific problem we face today?" Einstein pondered for a full 15 minutes. and did not give him an answer right away. Finally, when he answered, he said, "The greatest and most profound problem in our world is truly the inherent and constant struggle between good and evil." Then the journalist kept questioning him, saying that good and evil shouldn't be scientific problems, that they are religious issues. Later, Einstein said, "If our world is inherently evil, then as science continues to significantly advance, it will ultimately invent truly evil things. If our world is fundamentally good, then as science continues to advance, it will ultimately uncover many good things." At this point in time, we can clearly see that scientific research is not inherently about uncovering evil. If it were about uncovering evil, then the world's greatest killers, like nuclear weapons that destroy the world. But people in the world are not really willing to do that. So, what is the purpose of scientific advancement? It is to uncover our inherent goodness. This principle aligns very closely with the teachings in Buddhism. They are extremely consistent. Therefore, as everyone knows, the understanding in the medical field is that we now need both traditional medical knowledge and, more importantly, new technologies and knowledge from science. However, this knowledge cannot be separated from conscience. It cannot be separated from morality. Once it is separated from morality, then we humans have already become, one could truly say, in essence, no different from animals. Apart from money, apart from our individual goals, status, and some fierce competition, if there is nothing else, then that is truly terrible. So, for example, in Tibet, the compassionate ideals of Mahayana Buddhism are very prevalent. As for this ideal of compassion, in our medical field, it can indeed be truly said to be fully manifested. When it is manifested, countless sufferers now have the significant chance and profound hope to be saved. Therefore, I firmly believe that for all of us present here today, including many dedicated doctors and other medical professionals as well, everyone truly needs to acquire and understand this vital kind of knowledge. Finally, I'd also like to add one more thing. For those of us in the medical field, it's best to study the Medicine Buddha Sutra. Some time ago, I was also online. I think it was last year. Last year, after I had surgery, I gave a talk on the Medicine Buddha Sutra. This Medicine Buddha Sutra, I would truly say, indeed, is especially important for doctors and those who save lives, because its power is truly inconceivable. In the Medicine Buddha Sutra, there is a mantra called Om Namo Bhagavate Vaishajaguru Vaidurya Prabharajaya Tathagataya Arhate Samyak Sambuddhaya Tadyatha Om Bhaishaje Mahbekazaya Bekazaya Razaya Samudgate Svaha. There is this mantra in the Medicine Buddha Sutra. Then we usually utilize powerful and effective spells in medicine. Om Bekazaya Mahabekazaya Raza Samugade Svaha. Then the Medicine Buddha Sutra explicitly states, if you recite this mantra 108 times and then bless the patient in this way, in fact, many illnesses can be completely cured. There is a real opportunity for full recovery. So, I think many of the doctors who are present here today, especially those individuals who possess a strong faith, if you truly have faith, you should, in different and various situations, always strive to apply and demonstrate that faith. Always use the Medicine Buddha mantra to silently bless others. I also often see some Tibetan doctors or Western doctors, they use their own methods to treat patients. Actually, for a doctor, it's not just about technical skills. They also possess deeper, more profound and comprehensive instructions and teachings. If these teachings are carefully and thoughtfully applied in the course of treatment, the outcomes and results are truly and remarkably different. So, using the profound and compassionate power of sacred texts, like the revered Medicine Buddha Sutra, to genuinely relieve the suffering and alleviate the pain of patients is truly meaningful and deeply significant. Therefore, a successful doctor is not only truly able to heal the physical body, but more importantly, can profoundly heal the mind and spirit. So therefore, doctors shouldn't just simply give an injection or just apply some medicine and be done. Sometimes if you have the time, just a few kind words and some genuine comfort are very important to them. When you encounter these particular patients, because every single patient especially cares if the doctor says a bit more, and if what you say is truly related to their current illness or condition, especially if you offer some comforting words. In this vast world, they often feel utterly helpless and can only truly listen to you. You are the savior of their life, just like God in other religions. Like the Buddha in Buddhism, when the Buddha appears before you, patients might not necessarily care that much. But as someone who is ill, when the doctor comes, they long for it so much, always gazing eagerly at your face. When the doctor says, there probably isn't a big problem. Sometimes even the doctor doesn't know for sure. He guesses there's nothing wrong. He says, the doctor said there's nothing wrong with me. Especially among many groups without much education, the patients are truly indeed quite pitiful. Sometimes indeed when we check with the equipment and find that there is no major illness, you completely believe it. The doctor says there's nothing wrong. If the doctor says there is a problem, this is the critical moment between life and death for us now. You are truly the savior. In such an environment, we really need medical ethics and the wisdom of doctors. In our world, we often talk about IQ and EQ. IQ refers to technical knowledge and intelligence. And as for EQ, it relates to how we doctors interact with, including your superiors, and how you conduct yourself among your professional departments. How you treat people, handle matters, and get along harmoniously, all of these are related. So I also hope that all the doctors present here today should all maintain their own physical and mental health. At the same time, within our limited lifespans, dedicate our most sacred and profound profession to these deserving patients. Let countless sentient beings be freed from suffering and find happiness. Thank you all.
All right, friends, let's stand up together. Let's give a round of applause to our Khenpo. Thank you.